Good morning, Year 10. Hope you're all well this morning. Just a quick video this morning just to explain what you're doing. I think we're going to start talking today about drawing comparisons between two poems, and that's so that we can plan a response to a comparison question. So if you remember, in the poetry exam, what you have to do is you have to write about two poems. You have to compare the ideas in both of them. So we're going to have a look at how we can use what we've done already on London and combine that with some notes on another poem to write a brilliant spangly essay. So what I suggest you do if you find the videos helpful is just listen to me explaining what to do, and then probably go back into show my homework and open the PowerPoint or the PDF, and then you can just read through it at your leisure again and do the tasks. Okay, so I think I've covered off what that says there. You're not going to be writing the essay today, as I say, you're just going to be planning. So let's have a look here. Just a reminder about the structure for the poetry essay, so why we're doing this. So you start off when you're writing about poems about an umbrella statement that links the two poems, dependent on the title. So something like both poems are critical of people in power, something quite simple. And then if you remember, what you have to do is go and actually make another statement which says how poem A is critical. So then you go into your kind of C's paragraphs, so your two C's paragraphs. So you might then say something like, Blake is critical of the restrictions placed on London and those who live there, which is one of the statements we used yesterday. So you're starting off by saying how both poets are critical and then how one is critical, and you'd follow that up with your rest of your C's paragraph. Okay, evidence, inference, assume, explore, explain. And then you need a kind of another statement which says how poem B is critical. We haven't looked at this yet. So you might use a connective in a similar way. Another poet is also critical of whatever they're critical of in their poem. And then you do the C's paragraph for that. So when we look at the essay tomorrow, we'll be going through all this again, so don't worry about that. But I just wanted to try to put in the picture what we're doing today. So yesterday, and the day before, in fact, we did this. We looked at the rest of the C's paragraph for the poem London. And today, therefore, in order to prepare to write the essay, we need to look at the rest of the whole of the thing, basically looking at another poem, how we'd make statements about it that would link to the first poem and then the C's paragraph. So that's what you're going to do today with lots of help. Okay, I don't know why I'm floating around my camera up here. I'm going to put it down there. Okay, so the poem that you're going to be comparing London to is Checking Out History. So we've reprinted it here for you. So I would just spend a few moments rereading both of the poems, and it's going to be really useful to have both of your notes at hand. Although we're going to be writing more about today, we're going to be writing about and planning notes on Checking Out History. So spend a few minutes looking at that. This is the question that you're going to be writing about, and it's the same question that we used for London in the last few lessons. So how is a loss of power presented in the poem London, and one other poem we've studied? So you've sort of done the London side of it, and now we need to do the same sort of thing for Checking Out History. Here are some initial ideas about how both poems link to this idea of a loss of power. So in London, we've looked at the fact that there's lots of government control, there's a divide between rich and poor, there's evidence of child labour, there's a powerful church, etc. He's very angry. At the end of the poem, it's quite gloomy. Checking Out History, when you looked at that, we looked at ideas of the Eurocentric education. They're not taught about their own culture. It's quite angry as well. And at the end of the poem, though, he sort of seems to regain some power by saying he's going to check out his own history. So in terms of both poems, they're both about people being controlled by those in power. They both describe having thoughts controlled by others, and they're both angry. So we can make some good comparisons. So bear that in mind, read through that, have a think. So what you've done so far, this is a bit, you can read this at your own leisure, but basically these are the statements we've looked at in the last couple of lessons, and what we need to do is we need to think about if those are the statements for London, what will the statements be for checking out history? So these are going to be the statements that start each kind of double C's paragraph. Lots of help here for you. So got the statements on this chart that we've already used about London down the left, and we need to make some for checking out history. So if Blake is critical of the restrictions placed on London, what's Agard critical of? If Blake describes the lack of power experienced by people in London, what does Agard present the lack of power, or who does he present? Whose lack of power does he present, etc. So pause the video, have a few minutes to see whether you can write some of the statements down for checking out history, and then move on if you're stuck or if you want to check. So in fact, because we want to help you, we've given you some ideas here. So if you've got your own, perfect, or you might want to use some of these as well. So what you can see here is how the ideas link. So Blake's critical of the restrictions placed on London and people. Agard's critical of the the history he's taught. Have a quick look through those, and then no surprises. What we now need to do is we need to take the checking out my history statements and complete the other elements of the paragraph for them. So these are the main quotations for checking out history that you're going to use. So do read through the whole poem, but those are the best ones you're going to be using. And your task today is to complete the C's sheets for the next few slides. Now, again, if you want to print them out, you can, or just write them in your book, write them as notes. If you have access to a computer and you can type stuff, you might want to type these things up so then you can more easily turn them into an essay. It's up to you. Just a note at the bottom there, you can't really read it because I'm in the way. I'll turn myself off really. You don't need to copy the model one. So the second one I'll show you has been done fully. So you don't need to copy all of that out because it will be in tomorrow's lesson as well. So let me just turn myself off here. This is something I've learned to do. Oh, bye-bye. Here we go. So a lot of this work has been done for you because we really want to help you sort of walk you through what you've got to do so you feel confident. So now we're having a statement about checking out history. There's some evidence, and then your job is to do some of the rest of it. So a lot of it's been done for you. Okay, the inference has kind of been done. Finish off the Zoom, do the explore. If you want to do your own inference, Zoom and explore, that's fine, but we just want to put some stuff there to help people if they're feeling stuck. So let's see if we can move on. So the second one has been done completely for you. You don't just so read through that. Okay, I haven't said anything about the 7-up bit as well, but thinking about linking to the structure or another quotation is what you want to do if you want the higher marks. But read through that. It's all good revision and ready for your essay. Statement 3 hasn't been done any of it for you. Okay, so this is where you've got to go solo. You've got to do it yourself. You can do it. You've looked at that quote, bandage up my eye with my own history, blind me to my own identity, really sort of violent verbs. You've got the alliteration there and the metaphor, lots to talk about how he feels that he's really been stopped from learning about his own culture. And then the fourth one is a bit more help. This is also a good bit of the poem to write about, the metaphors about the really positive figures from Black history that Agard would have liked to celebrate at school. So that one is going to be easier to finish because you've got lots of help. That's it really. So what I suggest you do, if you've listened to my ramble, is now open up the PowerPoint or the PDF so you can look through it at your own speed. But if you've got any questions, then just go and send me a message, and good luck. Remember, there's lots of help, and that's to sort of guide you through. It's still really good practice if there's lots of help, and then you have to think about the final bits to fill in. Okay, good luck.